Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. This is kind of crazy. This is the last set of notes for the year. After this, we only have 1 week of class left. So, props where props are due. Way to go. Way to stick with it. And yeah, let's finish strong. So, this next set of notes is about the planets. I have no idea why there's a little Z there. That's kind of weird, but I don't know what it means either. So, going through this is a super quick overview of the planets. We're just going to hit the main characteristics of each of them. Next week, I'm thinking some kind of wrap-up project, but I don't want you to freak out about the word project. I just don't know what else to call it. So, one more week of stuff, and then we'll be finished. So, some basic things to get started. Just we kind of have to talk about all of this so that the rest of it makes sense. There's a little Z on that one too. I don't know. Maybe this is a game, like find the Z. So the solar system is made of mostly empty space, and it's interesting to me how big the solar system is mostly empty space, but also looking down to how small atoms are and how they're mostly empty space too. So just kind of an interesting parallel there. So it's mostly empty space. These are the planets. They don't all necessarily line up nicely like that, but it's easier to fit them in a picture that way. 8 planets, 1 Plutoid. Pluto was taken down a notch a few years ago, but still given the title of Plutoid. 4 inner, more rocky planets, the outer gaseous planets. And then another thing kind of interesting, I think this parallels atoms too. Atoms and distances there, or sizes of protons and stuff, are in atomic units. In the solar system, the distances are so far, so it's so much the other way, they're measured in astronomical units, AUs. So 1 AU is 150 million kilometers. It's the distance, here's the Earth to the Sun. All right, so that's 1 AU. And they take that and they use that as the ruler to measure other things. So the distance from Earth to the Sun, and then taking that to measure how far other things are from different things. So a lot of empty space. The planets are out there, they're farther apart, they're bigger. Inner planets are more rocky, more solid, and the outer planets are more gaseous. And I mean, you can tell by the picture too, they're bigger. Oh, there's the Z. It's in the same place. So the rocky inner planets, starting with them. Mercury circles the sun in only 88 Earth days. So it only takes it about 3 Earth months to get all the way around the sun. So 1 year on Mercury is 3 months on Earth. So you'd be, let me see, crunch some math a minute. There's 12 months in a year, divided by 3, before. So take your age, multiply it by 4. That's how old you'd be on Mercury. So you'd be more years number-wise, but I mean, you'd be the same age. You'd have been around the same amount of time. But it only spins 3 times for every 2 times it goes around the sun. So if one trip around the sun in those 3 months would only be a complete day and a half cycle. Because it takes 3 times, scratch that a second, it has to go around the sun twice in order to have 3 full day and night cycles. So the days are very, very long, the nights are very, very long. So that makes sense then that it's super hot and super cold at night. 806 degrees Fahrenheit during the daytime, negative 274 degrees Fahrenheit at nighttime. And then it doesn't have very much gravity, it's really small, so there isn't much atmosphere there either. So it doesn't have the atmosphere to insulate and kind of moderate the temperatures either. So it's spinning super slow, it's getting a lot of sunlight or not getting a lot of sunlight, making it really hot or cold, and then it doesn't have the atmosphere to insulate it. You could not live on this planet. It's closest to the sun. It is a very harsh environment. All right, the next one, Venus, has a very, very dense atmosphere. So kind of the opposite here of Mercury. Mercury doesn't have atmosphere. Venus has a lot of atmosphere. So it makes it so it's so hot on the planet's surface. On a summer day, or really any day here in California, you get into your car and it feels really, really warm inside. It's the same thing with Venus. The atmosphere traps all that energy, makes it really, really warm on the surface. So it's way too hot for oceans or any kind of liquid water. I mean, 878 degrees Fahrenheit, pretty much all the time. And like I was saying with the cars and how it'd be warm inside, the carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, it does not let a lot of the radiation escape. So it gets hot and it stays hot. It takes 243 Earth days to make one full rotation. So a complete day and night cycle on Venus is 243 Earth days, but it takes 225 days to go around the sun. So it's kind of interesting how it's actually fewer days for what you would consider a year on Venus than it would be what you would consider a day and a night cycle on Venus. It spins the opposite direction of the Earth, so the sun would rise in the east over there very slowly. Or no, switch that. Sun would rise in the west, and it would set in the east. But since it spins so slowly, it's not like you'd notice it like, oh, the sun is rising in the morning, and notice it at night too. We didn't talk about the Coriolis effect too much because we were doing the online classes, but that basically says because the Earth is spinning, the winds, if this is the Earth, the winds are deflected because the Earth is spinning. Venus spins so slowly, so it doesn't have that. So the winds are, pretty much going like that. They're not deflected because it's spinning. Kind of crazy still that a year on Venus is less than what you would think a day on Venus is. Earth. All right, it's my personal favorite planet. Resides in the sun habitable zone. Not too close, not too far. Sometimes it's called the Goldilocks zone, or you'll hear in the news every so often, scientists have discovered a Goldilocks planet in whatever other star system. They're saying it could possibly sustain life. If we could somehow get there, there could be life there, or we could survive there. There's about 70% liquid water on the surface. This you can see is the United States kind of lit up at night. Cool picture. It'd have to be taken from like the space station or something, but pretty neat. The oceans are very important, help support carbon dioxide cycle, which regulates temperature, regulates weather, contributes, to which gases and which air vapor, water vapor is in the atmosphere. The atmosphere is just the right gases, and the atmosphere keeps things moderate. Not too hot during the day, not too cold at night, and then just keeps things from being extreme. So the Earth has a lot of good things going for it as far as sustaining life. Right, Mars. 1/9 the size of Earth. I'm not totally sure if that means the diameter is 1/9 or if it's like a volume thing, but anyways, it's a lot smaller than Earth. But it does have a lot of the same things: crust, mantle, core. It has a very thin atmosphere, so not a lot, not nearly like Earth. Takes about 2 years to orbit the sun, but it rotates at almost the same speed as Earth. I think it's within an hour so a day on Mars is almost the same length as a day on Earth, but 2 years instead of 1 Earth year. That's one of the reasons too why scientists think we could someday colonize Mars, is the times and such are similar. So yes, obviously it'd be an adjustment because you're on a new planet, but there are some similar things, like that just helps the body's rhythm adjust. The atmosphere does not trap greenhouse gases though, so the weather is extreme. I've heard of different ways to colonize Mars, and one theory was if they could somehow create like an artificial atmosphere on Mars, then they could make it so it would have like weather and more rain and sustain life, which I don't know how they would do that necessarily, but it's an interesting theory to think about. 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. Fear and chaos, based on, I believe it's Greek mythology. Something interesting too, the Earth obviously has a moon. The name of the Earth's moon is Moon. I think that's kind of a letdown. Mars gets to name its moon something cool. I wish our moon had a cool name, but anyways. Oh, there's the Z. I found it. Here's one of the rovers that was on Mars. One of the pictures it took. It has a lot of iron oxide in the rocks, in the dirt there, so it has kind of a red appearance. All right, Jupiter. So in between Mars and Jupiter, there's a large asteroid belt. Um, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, those are the four inner, more rocky planets. And then getting out now to the more gaseous planets. So Jupiter is the largest of all planets in the solar system. One Jupiter day is 10 Earth hours. Okay, so this planet is huge and it is spinning fast. Okay, so there's 2 Jupiter days in less than 1 Earth day. Since it spins so fast, it flattens the planet. So the oblate spheroid of the Earth, Jupiter has that same effect too. So it's, fatter at the equator than the poles. Maybe not that dramatically, but not only is it the biggest planet, but it has more mass than all of the other planets combined. So I don't know about volume-wise, but mass-wise, you could take them all, and Jupiter would still weigh more. More than half of its mass is liquid hydrogen. Scientists haven't sent anything to Jupiter, because it's a gaseous planet, you can't really send something to land on the surface, but they've sent things that have gone past it. They can make observations based on how it's changed and also the colors, things like that, so they can learn things about it. More than half its mass is liquid oxygen. It has over 60 moons. 60. Earth has 1, Mars has 2. All right, these outer planets have a lot more moons usually too. One of the moons, Io, has volcanic activity. One of them, Europa, is covered with frozen water. And then beneath that, it's liquid water. So kind of interesting that there is water, frozen or otherwise, in other places in the atmosphere. Jupiter also, the gravity is so much stronger because it's so much bigger. You'd actually feel like you weigh 6 times more on Jupiter. So if you weigh 100 pounds on Earth, that's the force of gravity pulling down on you, it would feel as though you weigh 600 pounds on Jupiter. So everything would be, 6 times harder to do. If you took a human and just put them on Jupiter, they wouldn't be able to survive, really. They wouldn't be able to do their daily functions. You'd have to I'm not even sure how you would condition for that or have some kind of exoskeleton put on you, but 6 times as much gravity. So, you try to lift something on Earth, feels like 5 pounds. On Jupiter, it would feel like 30 pounds. All right, so it would be hard to live there. If you could somehow overcome all of the other things that would keep you from living there, that would be hard too. Here's some of its moons. So they have different characteristics. They look different. Go back a second. All right. So going on to Saturn. It's composed mostly of hydrogen and helium. It is very, very low density. It would actually float in water. If you could somehow get an enormous bathtub and put Saturn into it, it would float. Spins once every 10.2 hours, so it's spinning very quickly as well. Has rings. The rings can be visible with a telescope, like we can see them here on Earth. And has about 47 moons. The largest one is Titan. Really cold lakes of frozen ammonia. Ammonia is used on Earth as a cleaning product, not pneumonia, that's a sickness. But yeah, so it has those characteristics. It's gaseous. This planet is huge, has a lot of moons. And then something else a lot of the other planets have, outer planets, is these rings. Saturn is just mostly well known for it. All right, this planet, diameter 4 times as great as the Earth. So 4 Earths. It's a little bit more dense than water, so it would sink. And it's tilted, actually, 98 degrees. So, here's the ring around it. Uranus does have a ring. Here's the axis going through it. It looks like it's sideways. And then it has at least 27 moons and a ring system. So there's that outer planet, gaseous planet, much bigger, lots of moons, and then this one does have a ring system as well. Neptune is mostly hydrogen and helium also, has some methane and ammonia. So ammonia, remember on Earth, it's like a cleaning supply, so it would smell really bad there. And something kind of cool is it emits 2.5 times as much heat as it absorbs from the sun. Scientists can measure like the temperature of it. They can, track those patterns and stuff. They think it's still contracting. So if it's still contracting, it would be able to emit that energy. And then a lot of moons as well, fewer than the other ones, has at least 13 moons. The biggest one is Triton. So that's a quick overview of the planets. Pluto's considered a Plutoid, so it doesn't quite count as a planet anymore. But these are the planets, 4 inner ones, 4 outer ones, their main characteristics. And there we go. So now we've gotten through all of the notes for the semester. All right, so great job, and one more week.